One of my favorite places to visit is Homestead Heritage, just north of Waco, off of Golson Road. And it is a community of people seeking to live close to the land, and they practice traditional crafts. They have a craft village, and you can go see them work. They have a blacksmith shop, a wood shop. They make cheese. They have what they call the fiber crafts. They knit and they sew. They make quilts, wood, cheese, pottery. And they call them essential crafts, things that are essential to their way of life, things that will sustain their common life together. In fact, their website that describes all of the classes which they teach on all these crafts is sustainlife.org. Last visit to the pottery shop was greeted by a smile from a young woman, and she was not trying to sell me anything. She was taking her cues from me, what I might need. We talked for a little bit. I noticed the potter's wheel, and I asked for a demonstration, which she was glad to do. She sat at the wheel, and I watched this young woman transform into a potter as she transformed the clay into something that would become a beautiful and useful vessel. The Lord said to Jeremiah, "Come with me down to the potter's house. Come and let me show you something." Observe now the potter at work and what knowledge he has. He knows just the right kind of clay and what to add to it, just the right amount of water. And look also at the skill of the potter. Knows with the touch of his hand how to raise the side walls and make sure they're not too high or too low, just the right thickness. And notice, if you will, that something has gone wrong. This vessel has spoiled, or it is marred in some way. Now look again. This vessel that is spoiled, it is spoiled in the potter's hand. We ever felt that way? That life being spoiled? Different translations give different words. Marred, flawed, unusable. If you ever felt that way about your life or your work or a project, a specific thing that is just now either not quite right or really not right at all. Or maybe it's not as dramatic, something has gone wrong, something is a little off. But this marring, this spoilage, this thing that has not gone quite right, all takes place in the potter's hand. And if we let that sink in, that is really a wow. It happens in the potter's hand. And what does the potter do? Doesn't throw it away. Doesn't get disgusted and wipe it off the wheel. It keeps working and reworks that same lump of clay into another vessel. So that is good news. Whatever happens, the good and the bad and the ugly and the not quite right and the really not right, it's all happening in the potter's hands. God can hold it all. And he takes that same lump that doesn't seem quite right and reforms it and remakes it into another vessel. God is the master craftsperson, the master potter, making beautiful and useful vessels. Useful beauty, that's something that a craftsperson is trying to do with whatever craft, making something that is useful. And like the people at Homestead, they're making things that are actually needed. And people that are making traditional crafts or were making them before we had plastic single use, these things were needed, essential to sustain life. And the potter's working on a vessel. A vessel holds something or carries something. It holds water until it's needed to drink. It holds food and carries the food to a place or a person that needs it. Carrying the things that are essential to life, that are essential to culture. And culture means the life that we create together. God is making vessels and reworking and remaking vessels that carry the things that are essential to support life, our life together. God is responding to the clay, not reacting to it. And what's the difference there, and what does that matter? Well, the reaction would be like some of those last verses that we read that seem like terrible judgment, that God will, if you do the wrong thing, God will zap you. If you do the right thing, God will bless you. Seems to be what he's saying. But God showed Jeremiah first. He said, look at this. He gave him the visual. Look at this. And then whenever we try to explain, then we go this, then that. Kind of the limits of logical language. And we have to explain it that way. We do this, God does that. But he started with that vision of the potter. That's the whole thing. And the point of the potter was he's continually working and reworking. Whatever goes wrong is happening in the potter's hands. He's able to work with it and continue to work and remold and reform. And there's something there about God changing his mind, and we may be uncomfortable with that, but of course, if you're doing any kind of craft, or you're doing any kind of trade, or if you're teaching, or if you're a nurse or a doctor, or if you're working in business, things don't go to plan, and you make adjustments on the fly. It may be a small adjustment or a big pivot, but you're always thinking, and you're always changing and evolving. You're responding to what's in front of you. You have a plan, something you want to do, but it doesn't go the right way. So you make adjustments so God can make those adjustments, responding to the clay that's presented. And God is a craftsperson, not an industrialist. And yes, I believe that God initiates. God is the first one. God gives us grace first. God shows us his love first. God speaks first. But he does that as a craftsman and ready to respond to what we respond to. The industrialist extracts raw materials and forces them into submission to make identical widgets to be sold in the mass market. But the craftsperson takes time, looks at the clay, this particular clay, local clay, and knows what's needed and forms according to what's presented. So the craftsperson, with that care and with that knowledge and with that skill, is of course creating unique vessels. No two are exactly alike. God is continually reworking. Occasionally, there's fine china, but the fine china is made for a purpose, not for show. It's when it's needed. But generally, God is working on everyday wear, creating things every day for everyday use. God is a local potter, taking the local clay and the local resources and keeping in mind the local needs. And being God, he's working locally in a lot of locations. But right here with us, forming, remolding, recreating unique and beautiful vessels that bring life, crafting everyday wear, every day. The whole of our life, the good, the bad, the wrong, the right, the ugly, everything is in the hands of the potter, the master craftsperson who does not get disgusted and throw it all away, but continues to work, continues to form, continues with patience, being responsive to the needs and limitations that are there. Local potter working in many locations, always with the material at hand to make beautiful, one-of-a-kind vessels that bring the essentials to our life together. Amen. God has given us